Hello, people. It's your first man back again with another Round of Fun podcast. As always, every Monday 9 o'clock, join us here, regardless of the weather. And I can tell you today is a warm one, and things are hotting up in the transfer market. In particular, if you are Arsenal, obviously a lot of Arsenal fans, if you haven't seen on social media, are elated with the latest signing, Zinchenko. We will be talking about that alongside other news regarding Arsenal. Of course, undefeated in pre-season as it currently stands. Therefore, they are probably going to win the league. But, of course, there's a lot to discuss. Before we get into that, as always, slap a like, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in. Let's introduce the panel. Kojo will be on his way very shortly. But my co-host for today is the man himself. We have got Kish in the building. Kish, how you doing, my guy?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. Very, very happy at the moment as a Spurs fan. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the show.
Yes, you love to see it. And next to Kish, you got Vin Diesel himself, aka Mr. Chaos. We got a family today. We got a family. You love to see it.
Oh man, I ain't got the fam. My room is hot, man. I can't. I got to rock the wife beater. I can't. I can't go. I can't go fully topless. Nobody wants to see that, but nah, man. But
get the views up, though. So that'll be good.
What's that?
Not the kind of views we want, though. Yeah, but yeah, stick to the wife.
But nah, man, all good. Can't complain. Very hot in here, but can't complain. Arsenal, my number 9 scoring in it, so I can't complain.
We'll get into that, actually. I forgot about that. Jesus is doing really well at the moment. I've seen a lot of shouts about Jesus going to overtake Darwin Nunes. Is that his name? It's Darwin Nunes, isn't it? Darwin Nunes, I think I forgot his name already. This year's Golden Boot. But anyways, listen, before we introduce Liverpool fan, I know a lot of people say we don't have enough Liverpool representation on the channel. So I got the 2 best Liverpool fans I know. First and foremost, the man from Sarcasm City, and in case you don't watch Pro Clubs, our number 10 months. I'm sorry, bro. I love you as well. We have got Rayan in the building. Rayan, how you doing, my bro?
Yeah, good, bro. Cheers for inviting me on. Good to see you, Keish. Good to meet you, bro. Cahill, good to see you again. It's been a while. And Steve, always good to see you, bro. Always good to see you. I know we speak a lot, argue a lot, but it's always good to see you, my brother.
I can understand why. Oh, God. And why. But listen, in case you're wondering, ignore the background. I couldn't find one in time, so the title race is not on, neither is top 4. So ignore that. But obviously, we'll get into that at some point during the season. And last but not least, Ryan obviously introduced him here, but the man has been going from strength to strength. Listen, one of my day ones. You love to see it. Steve is back on Round Fan Podcast. Obviously, you're always welcome here, and it's good to have you on this very, very warm evening. Steve, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm well. Nice to see you boys on here. I know all of you except for Keish. So nice to meet you. Been a while, Cahill, and yeah, Ryan. Just rein it in, son, please. I don't want to have a big row with you on here. You know what you like. I've told him not to out any Liverpool players tonight, so I'm coming looking for him. So yeah, that's what's going to happen if he does. So nice for having me on again, mate. It's been a while. It's always good to catch up with you.
Legend. Absolute pleasure. Obviously, feel free to get your comments in. Like I said right at the start of the show, in general, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek regarding the Arsenal thing. They're going for the quadruple, not the league. But anyways, we'll get into that very shortly. Get your comments in regarding anything you want us to discuss. We will only be covering the top 6. But before we do cover the top 6, we have to cover West Ham. Because to be fair, in the last couple of days in particular, they have been making some potential great moves, and no less isn't here, so it's only right to get the small clubs out of the way. Right, okay, so let's start with West Ham. Broja is the latest talking point. Of course, he is currently at Chelsea, was on loan at Southampton. Kish, we'll start with you. I feel like you're very opinionated. Ryan and Steve, as I say, as always. But listen, just jump in, basically. Kish is probably going to chat shit like he normally does, but just jump in. Hopefully my audio is fine. Obviously, let me know if someone's messaging me. It's not. Just let me know if my audio is obviously not too good. I can sort that out. But anyways, Kish, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Broja? Apparently, West Ham only wanted a permanent deal. Where do you sit on the whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, look, potentially, I think it's a very, very good deal for West Ham and for Broja, to be honest, to kind of further progress his career. I think it's the right direction for him if he's not going to get the opportunities that he needs to improve his own ability. The only sideball curb to him is the fact that altogether he got 9 goals in 42 games in all comps, and 6 of them were in the Premier League. Now, after January, he didn't hit a single goal in either competition that Southampton were in. Now, of course, there's other factors towards that, because I think Southampton, they do this every season, that after January, they just have a massive drop-off. I think after the Man City game where they got a draw and Hassan Hutel basically cried to say it was the best result he's ever had, they struggled to get results. So maybe not all of it is down to Brozier, but of course, the way Southampton play football, you still get opportunities as a striker, and he played a lot of the games, 42 appearances. So, there is room for improvement there. But the main overall factor in that is the guy's 20 years of age. 20 years of age and showing a bucket load of potential. So I think for £30 million for West Ham, with Antonio there, realistically, that for me is a fantastic signing, and it would be a signing where someone like David Moyes, who's proved that he can, at players of that age, he can take them to the next level. There's so many examples at Everton and also at West Ham. It would be interesting, and I think that's one of the key reasons why someone with Premier League experience already, he would be the perfect manager for Brozier to be accustomed to.
Yeah, no. In terms of from a West Ham perspective, obviously, I think from their perspective, it's a no-brainer for me personally. I think with what you said regarding his lack of goals, after January, I just think Southampton in general were absolutely shocking after January. I thought they were destined to get relegated, to be quite frank with you. I thought they were definitely within the mix. But 20 years old, Steve, will come to you firstly. You guys have got one of Chelsea's biggest rejects, so to speak, in terms of probably their biggest mistakes after Kevin De Bruyne is one of the top two. Chelsea seem to have a knack of bringing these players in and never giving them an opportunity. Like, where do you sit with the whole Chelsea situation? Because for me personally, is Havertz and Timo Werner that much better than him? Does he not offer something that they don't? Like, where do you sit on the whole sort of Breuer sort of situation?
Yeah, he's a line leader. It's proper number 9 that leads the line, and they spent £97 million on a forward that they thought was going to do that for them, and we all know how that ended. So maybe it was an opportunity to try him in that position, but they need success now. They spent a lot of money in the summer. They didn't get what they wanted from it. They had a difficult second half of the season. I think at one stage they'd only taken 12 points right up to the end of the season in terms of wins from the league. They're right slow down. They were almost caught by Spurs for third place. So I don't think you can take a chance on a 20-year-old when there's that much riding on it. Also take into consideration the new regime down there, how things are working out now, how they need to be run by a proper self-sustaining football club as opposed to having someone bankrolling them. They're now going to live in the real world, and 20-year-olds are a risk, and I don't think they can afford to take a risk on a 20-year-old. It is a loan. Is there an obligation to buy, or is it not been set yet?
So West Ham are currently refusing the obligation to buy, from what I'm aware of. They're just wanting a straight signing. Okay. So for me personally, if there is an obligation to buy, we kind of discussed this on the chat earlier, it needs to be at least 75 million. I know that sounds ridiculous at the moment, but hypothetically, if he does come good, they need to make sure they get some money out of him.
I think if he has a great season and goes and scores 20 goals and proves himself, and there's no clause to buy, that probably plays into Chelsea's hands a little bit more. So it's an interesting one. They do need a forward. There's too much reliance on Antonio and Jarrod Bowen, and those guys can't fire every single game. So it will make them a little bit more potent in the final third, because at times if Antonio's not on it, you do wonder where their goals are going to come from.
Yeah, Kill, that kind of leads me on nicely. If I'm not mistaken, it was yourself and Kish. Feel free to correct me. That said Bowen's massively overrated. Was it you and Kish? I feel like it was. But Kill, what are your thoughts on obviously Breuer potentially coming in and helping out West Ham in terms of the goals department? Is it a necessity for them to get someone of this ilk, or would you see? I believe Samaka, they're interested in him as well. Would you feel like they need someone a bit more experienced, or do you think Breuer is the right profile in terms of getting them from where they currently are to potentially breaking that top 6?
It's an investment right now. So he's 20 years old. So if it is a loan deal, there's no real risk behind it. But I mean, if there is a £75 million obligation to buy, then that's going to put West Ham in a lot of financial trouble, because I don't think they have that sort of money laying around. It's an investment
Just
right now.
to
He's 20 years
clarify on
old.
that, sorry. So there is a mix-up. So it's 30 million for West Ham to buy him, and Chelsea are trying to insert a buyback clause if he performs, just like with Tammy Abraham. They've got an £80 million buyback clause. So it's not the case that West Ham would have to pay that much money. It's the case that West Ham are trying to remove that buyback clause that Chelsea want to insert.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference.
Is the buyback clause 30 million?
So no. So the fee that West Ham are discussing with Chelsea is 30 million to buy him outright, but Chelsea want the 30 million plus a buyback clause of them being able to buy him back for 70 to 80 million, which West Ham want to remove because West Ham might make 100 million for him if he bangs it, in a couple of seasons. That's what they're probably thinking.
Right, cool, fair enough. But yeah, like I was saying, it's investment. So in 2 years' time, we all know Antonio hasn't got the legs to withstand 2 more years. Very injury prone, quite old. Even though he has his peak has just recently come. So in the next 2 years, he's probably going to be their natural replacement. So £30 million, not a bad risk to take. Not a bad risk to take at all.
Yeah, I mean, Ali's put in the chat here, how are they getting 30 million for him? I've got to be honest, I do rate him. I do rate him a lot. Obviously, I know a lot of Chelsea fans I'm speaking to, they're not happy with the situation. I mean, the space that was in last night, you'd think that someone's died when they were crying in there. I mean, he's a good talent, don't get me wrong, but chill out. Like, football fans are so reaction. It's actually hilarious. But Rian, talk to me. What are your thoughts on West Ham in general? Obviously, the signing itself, potential signing itself, but what do you think West Ham need to do to close that gap in terms of getting to the top six? Man United currently sat in the sixth spot. Do you think West Ham are close enough to even catch up to Man United, so to speak?
I think they had a good season last season. I think the European football going far in the Europa League kind of impacted their league form throughout the whole season. I feel they could have gotten maybe a lot closer to the top six. Well, I mean, they almost overtook Manchester United in the last day of the season. I think if they didn't have European football, they didn't go far in European competition, they probably would have finished above you. But obviously, I think they got Conference League this season. You'd probably expect them to go very far in that, maybe win it, because I mean, they got very far in Europa. You probably expect them to get far in the Conference League as well. So I think in terms of in order to kind of, I see them probably getting a bit further away from the top six, if I'm being real. I do think they need probably more squad depth, if I'm being honest, because I think that's kind of what hurt them last season as well. But I think this piece of business for them, Broja, is an intelligent piece of business. It kind of just gives them exactly more depth. I mean, I'm not sure if Broja is going to be a regular starter. Maybe not at first. It depends if, David Moyes has maybe even got the option of maybe playing two up front at times with Broja and Antonio for maybe certain games. So he's got more options there to play different kind of formations maybe as well. So that's quite good for them as well. And I was impressed with him at Southampton. I mean, I know he did fall off maybe in the second half of the season, but maybe you do put that down, like we said before, to Southampton's form really slipping as the season went on, especially in the second half of the season. So, but he's got good attributes. He's quick. He's powerful. He's got a good touch. He's a good player. He leads the line well. He's a handful for defenders. So. I think he'll fit into West Ham's team well, to be fair, and good signing. And you got to respect West Ham at the end of the day, because they're starting to show some ambition, to be fair. So you got to respect them still. Like I don't expect them to really get closer to the top six. So if I'm being honest, I think United and Arsenal they'll comfortably finish above them, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I do hear what you said in terms of respecting the ambition. I think the do deserve a lot of respect. Obviously, our resident West Ham fan is here, Coach, obviously. Right on cue, Coach is, of course, in for Lowland. It's all right, my guy. I was just laughing at your name, man. My Papa Coach. But listen, Cody, let's quickly get your thoughts on West Ham, because to be honest, we've spent too much time on it. What are your thoughts on the West Ham currently, their business that they're trying to do in the window? Do you think they'll be able to close the gap with some of the business that they're trying to do?
The short answer, no, because the centre back, I have no data or knowledge of who he is, so I can't really speak on him. Other than that, they're still an injury-prone squad. They need to improve in many areas. yeah, West Ham are not looking very strong for me right now. I think they're trying to get this Lingard on a free still. The issue is that what's his name? David Moyes doesn't like foreign talent. It's weird when I say that. I know he's got Lanzini and all that, but he doesn't like to look into the market and look for certain type of players because I feel like he's got an idea of what he wants and how he's going to stick to it. And with how
was it Samaka?
yeah, so they're looking at trying to get him, but then it looks like they're trying to just stick to Armando Roja from Chelsea. Obviously, he's not English, but he is Premier League. You know, he's got Premier League experience. He's coming from another English team, so he prefers that kind of talent. So I think he prefers to get that kind of player rather than spend the money. But I don't know if Skamaka's looking at West Ham as a first choice. So yeah, I'm not convinced by their deal so far. Also, can I just say, by the way, Cahill was looking wang. By the way, can I just please, that trim is sensational. Yeah,
I said he looks like Vin Diesel. What do you reckon?
What do you say?
I said he looks like Vin Diesel. What do you reckon?
It looks better than Vin Diesel, man. Allow that.
Oh, it's called just a real one. I mean, that's just that's Vin Diesel. But it's all good. It's all good. Listen, let's talk about disrespect. Let's get into it. Arsenal, obviously undefeated, current champions of whatever the hell they're currently playing. I don't even know where they are. I'm assuming it's America, but obviously, you'll be able to fix that. Let's talk about Zinchenko. 30 million. I'm going to throw it out there. Have Arsenal been robbed for 30 million? Whoever wants to take it first. No, I care. I'll let you go first. Obviously, everyone feel free to jump in. Have Arsenal been robbed, or is it shrewd business, Kel? What are your thoughts?
30 million in today's market is absolutely nothing. And if you look at it in a logical standpoint, he can play left back, he can play centre mid, and Kieran Tierney is injured all the time. So 30 million for a first choice left back in today's market, not a bad deal. Is he going to improve us? I don't think so. I think Tierney is still the better option, but like I said before, he's way too injury prone. So he's a better option than what we had at the moment in terms of forgot his name, Tavares, and I think he's going on loan as well. So he improves our backup options, but it doesn't take us forward. I don't think we've been robbed at all, though, guys. I think he's going to play minimum 30 games. He's going to start 30 games, and he'll probably play them at a good, solid level. I say maybe 7 out of 10 each game. He's a very consistent player.
Fair enough. I think he's the most overrated player in the transfer market at the moment. I've got to be honest.
He's going to crash. Well, I'm with him anyway. I think when Zinchenko lines up against Liverpool, I'm really happy because he's a bit rash and you can get in behind him, and Salah's had quite a lot of joy against him. So I'm with you, Usman, in the sense that I think that's a lot of money for a bang average player. To be honest with you, you're right, Kale.
We're not going to play.
Nah,
he's
not bang average.
He is,
Liverpool every game, are we? So
he is, mate.
I'd say it's 10 mil over his valuation. If you paid 20 million for someone like him, even in today's market, I'd say that's very good business. But for 32 million, which is what it is, and it's achievable add-ons in terms of appearances, it's a bit over the top. Look, the positives are it's another winner that he signed. He signed someone who's won the Premier League. He's
another winner.
So he's a winner. Zinchenko is a winner. I mean, he's won 4 Premier League titles.
Yeah, he's won 4 Premier League titles.
No, but what I'm saying is having that winner experience within the team.
Another winner. Yeah, I keep saying that, my bad.
No, but what I'm saying is you've got that experience as someone who has a know-how in terms of Premier League experience. And he's also someone that can.
What did he do to contribute? He was the only left back on their books, and he was getting displaced by right back for half the season, up until right at the end of the season.
You can't disregard someone for being at a club like Man City for 4 years.
You're taking the piss now.
You can't. If Pep didn't want him at all, surely he would have been sold within the last 4 or 5 seasons. No. Because Pep is very clear that if Pep doesn't want a player in his team, he's sold or let go.
By trade.
That's what I mean. If he didn't want him, he would have been sold.
I think for Arsenal, he should be a left back, not centre mid.
He will be a left back for Arsenal, definitely.
Yeah.
But
But
that's
okay, if Tierney's fit, is he? Because let me not
That's
lie.
my question. Is fit.
Pardon?
Where's he playing if Tierney is fit? Where's he playing?
he
Well,
doesn't
I'm
play.
not gonna lie to you. I don't think he's bang average. I think he's better than a lot of Arsenal's midfielders actually.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
what
think
he brings.
yeah. I think
I mean,
he's
it's
got.
debatable who gets into that midfield, Xhaka or Zinchenko, to be
Something,
honest
yeah.
with you.
Let me not lie to
I
you.
mean,
Let me not lie to
Zinchenko
you.
for Ukraine is a different animal in midfield.
Listen, Kish. Xhaka's unbeatable, man. He's not coming off the pitch. No matter the situation, he's not coming off the pitch. It's Zinchenko versus everybody else to play with Xhaka, which is funny, but it is what it is. I think even for Ukraine, he plays as a number 10. Now, I'm not saying he should play over Odegaard, but as an option. This is what I'm saying. They've got a bit of variety there. They got Odegaard, they got Saka, they got Smith-Rowe, they got Odegaard. I said Odegaard twice. They got Zinchenko. Who else have you also got in attacking midfield? Vieira. So they got options, man. Don't get me wrong. I don't like sitting here praising people that play for Man City and Arsenal. Believe me, but he's not as bad as. I mean, Steve said. I love Steve, but bang average.
He is bang average. He is.
He's not bang average.
I don't even think he's the best Ukrainian left back in the league, mate.
He's a good footballer, technically.
The lad at Everton's better than him.
Mikalenko's better.
No, he's better than Mikalenko. He's better than Mikalenko.
No, he's not, Ryan. He really isn't.
There's a reason why he's not playing that part for Ukraine. Steve.
Do you know what? Every team, when they line up against the opposition as a player in that lineup, and when he's playing, they go, happy days. It's a bit like, unfortunately, it's a bit like McFred. When we play United, we want them in there, right? So when Zinchenko's playing for Manchester City, I'm like, happy days. We will get joy against this guy, and we
like
always
I said
do.
before, we're not going to be facing Liverpool. We're not going to be facing City every weekend, and the games against the team. The games against the teams like a Everton, like a Southampton, I think he'll be up for it. And I think he'll give us the 7 out of 10 that he often gives.
You also have to look at it that yours is a project that's ongoing, and we've spoken about this loads of times on your own show. So essentially, it's probably the right player right now for your project. I agree with Kesh that the money's too much. 32 million is too much. It is really. It's for a guy that could end up being on the bench if Tierney's fit. It's an awful lot of money, isn't it?
I mean, we've bankrolled their Haaland deal with these two, with Jesus and
exactly, yeah,
and Zinchenko. But yeah,
Osman,
as he froze, he's froze.
Osman, how you doing, man?
I'm gonna keep disconnected. I don't know. Zinchenko's cut my bloody internet wire. Right. Okay. Sorry. I do apologize. But listen, suppose Benji's put 60 million for Richarlison in case you're talking. I mean, he's got a point.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, my thought process on Richarlison. I don't rate him at all. I mean, I would have gone for many other. I mean, I would have gone for Brozier for 30 million, to be honest with you, rather than Richarlison. But it's someone that can play all three positions up front, and Conte clearly wanted him because it was someone that he begged parity. Apparently, he personally gave him phone calls. That's how badly he wanted him to come to Spurs. I know I can't say the worst, but it's something housery apparently that he wants in that setup, and you'll definitely get that with Richarlison. So yeah.
Kish?
Yeah.
Why would you pay 30 million for Broja or Broja or what his name is? Why?
Because I think he's 20 years of age. He's a workhorse in attack, and he's a sub striker. He's someone that's a good squad player for us to have.
So you want a striking Lee Catamore for £30 million?
But then we've paid 60 million for Richarlison, who all he does is either dive onto the floor every single minute of a game, or he's trying to argue at the referee at every given moment. He's like Zaha, basically, in terms of how argumentative he is every game. So this is just my opinion. I don't know what he offers us. But that's just my personal agenda with Richarlison. That's the one signing. You know, it could work out. I could end up, biting my tongue on it. But realistically, I think £60 million is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you know his role? Because the reason I asked that is because obviously we're talking about Zinchenko and what his role could be if Tierney's fit. So far you've got a front three that's worked for obviously the two of them worked. I mean, pretty much as soon as they joined each other, and then Kulusevski joined that for the next last 5-6 months, and it's worked very well as well. Yeah. So what is? I mean, considering his fee as well, what do you think his role
He's a
is?
squad player. He's a squad player. And that's why I find it ridiculous. But the problem is what many people have said over the years. How can you say to a striker that you're going to be on the bench when Harry Kane's there? How are you going to say that? So you were going to have to pay money anyways. So we've got a player in Richarlison that he can play in the front three. For Everton and his Watford days, he plays up front, on the left, on the right. He can do that. But this is another thing about us having that adaptability, that if it is true that we're going to sign a creative midfielder, for example, you need to have the option to sometimes play Richarlison alongside Harry Kane. Everton, Calvert-Lewin played alongside Richarlison. So I'm not saying that would happen every game, of course not. But you need to give someone like Conte those options that he can play 3-4 different, formations where he can integrate different kind of tactics. And I think that's where Richarlison fits, because you got to understand we're in the Champions League now. We're in the Premier League, we're in the League Cup, we're in the FA Cup. So, he will get his opportunities. And of course, the one that would sacrifice is probably Kulusevski. So if Richarlison, when he gets his opportunities, if he performs, then, it's then up to Conte to say who's in or out.
Surely based on last season, I thought Kulusevski settled in really well, and he was pivotal to your run towards the end of the season. I don't see him going anywhere. I think possibly an injury or a suspension is probably how Richarlison gets a break, because of the 4 players that you would play up top, and you would assume Lucas Moura will probably move on. Richarlison would be 4th choice for me.
Well, no, Lucas Moura is going to be kept because we actually don't have a substitute winger now with Bergwijn sold. So realistically, there's not really anyone there. So Richarlison will get a lot of minutes, and particularly with the 5-sub rule, he will do. But just my personal agenda on him is, whenever I've seen him for his Everton days, I think last season you could argue that after January he was a massive part of the reason why they stayed up. But I've just personally never really seen much of him. His Watford days, I was pretty impressed. I thought is a raw talent, but his Everton days have not really impressed me at all. I've waited for 3-4 seasons now for him to just show his ability and be that 20 goal a season player, but he will never be that in my personal opinion.
Just before we obviously move away from us, I did want to actually speak about Jesus as well, just very quickly. Obviously, we will talk about Liverpool and Man City being the biggest talking point going into the season. What is ever thoughts of Jesus at the moment? To be fair to him, I've got to be honest, I'm not too surprised that he's doing well. However, Arsenal look very good with him up front. I think they look a bit better than I actually gave him credit for. Of course, it's only pre-season. You got to look at their opponents, that kind of thing. But I'll come to you first and foremost, Ron. What have you made of the way Jesus settling so far at Arsenal? I don't know if anyone can hear me. Ryan?
Oh, me? I thought you were asking.
Sorry about that. Yeah. I thought my mic, I thought I caught again. I was like, shit.
No worries.
Yeah, Ryan, what do you make of Jesus so far? How have you settled into Arsenal?
I think he's played. Hasn't he got two goals in 2 games or something like that? I've seen the goals. I ain't watched Arsenal's preseason games. I mean, he's a good player. I actually rate him, but do I rate him that much as a striker? I don't really rate him highly as a striker, to be fair. I don't really think he's a proper striker like that. Like, his finishing at Man City was always kind of questionable, to be honest. I think Arsenal fans hoping he'll get like 20 goals or something, or 20 league goals, are kind of wishing for too much, I think, because he didn't even get that at Man City. And I know, like, there's that thing, he was always like on the bench for City a lot of the time. He wasn't a regular starter, but at the end of the day, Manchester City create a bucket load of chances every game. They create more than Arsenal, much more than Arsenal will next season. So I think as a striker, I've got my doubts over him this season for Arsenal, to be fair. But I mean, don't get me wrong, he's an upgrade on Lacazette and Nketiah. He's definitely an upgrade on them, but I don't know if it takes them to a next level or anything as a striker. But his best position for me is down the right hand side, because when I've seen him play there for City, he's good down there. He makes good runs. He's got a little bit of trickery about him. He's got he's decent technically. He links up well with the players around him. So he's down the right. He's a good player, but he's not. I'm presuming he's not going to play there, because I think Saka's going to play there for Arsenal. That he's kind of nailed down that position, I think. I think I have got my doubts over Jesus down as a striker at Arsenal. So Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. To be fair, obviously Arteta's worked with him before, so he knows his game. So yeah, I am interested to see how that one works out. To be fair,
KO, question for you: do Arsenal fans think Saka should play on the left? Because I've had a few say he's better on the left.
I think he's more of a traditional winger than he puts on, because I don't really like him at inside forward. He gets goals, don't get me wrong, but
I'll tell you why I say that, because I was listening to Tim Vickery talking about South American football and Jesus in particular, and after a pretty disappointing World Cup, he has said he doesn't want to play through the middle. He was happy to play off the right. So it makes me wonder whether, and his goals have come from the right-hand side, both of them, and it makes me wonder whether Martinelli will go through the middle at some point with Saka on the left.
No. I don't think Martinelli is ever going to go through the middle. I don't think Arteta has the faith in him, and I kind of don't have the faith in him to be a number 9. He's very good off the left. He's quite explosive from there. On Saka though, I think he's a very good winger, and his passing ability and his crossing ability is quite underrated. So maybe if we were to play Jesus down the middle, he might get a few more goals. He might have a bit more luck. He likes number 9 because he's had his most success on the right for Manchester City in recent years. That's why I think he likes that position. It doesn't say that you can't make runs from the right as a number 9, and his role won't be to be a target man. He'll have a free role around the pitch to try and create as much space as humanly possible. There was a comment there where he said we don't want Jesus to score 20 goals. I do. He needed 20 goals, man. I don't understand
himself is that he wants to play up front now. He said it in a recent interview, I think, this week.
It's like, yeah, I want the 20 goals. I want the bringing in a whole bunch of other players from their position to increase our attacking output. So I want as many goals from him as possible. I want him to be as big as a threat as he can be, so the others can thrive.
That's probably why Arteta wanted him so badly, because I mean, towards I'll say from March onwards, you hardly saw Lacazette in the number 9 position, and Nketiah started playing. And that's not because Nketiah's a good presser, but he's better presser than Lacazette. Lacazette was not good pressing the forward line. Now, dare I say, I think Gabriel Jesus is one of the best in the league at pressing. And when you got someone on the left of him, like Martinelli, who will chase and chase and chase, where he got the energy for it, as Kale said, he's explosive. Saka is also decent at pressing as well. Yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting. I think that's why Gabriel Jesus as a 9 could work for Arsenal, because he could work with a front 3. And to be honest, look, let's say he did decide to put Martinelli through the middle, Jesus on the right, and Saka on the left. That works. It absolutely works. You know, you can still press from there. You can still create chances. You can still score goals. So yeah, I think he's just trying to build more of an attacking, pressing forward team. That might be why Zinchenko's going left back, because Zinchenko defensively is not good, but going forward he is good, and he's maybe just trying to focus on the attacking side of that. Now, if that means Xhaka goes back into left back position, that's a problem. But you know, other than that, that's a problem, because when he did it last season, it was horrible.
The one topic that you've all mentioned is Martinelli. I think now this is his 4th season in the Premier League. I think this is a massive season. He's now 21 years of age. He's going to be 22 this year. I think now, you know, he's had enough, praises from the likes of Klopp, Pep, where they've said that he's one of the best, potential players out there. I think Klopp said it recently as well during the fixture.
Yeah, Klopp loves him, yeah.
Yeah, I think that praise now has to turn into fruition. Last season, I've just seen he scored 6 Premier League goals, which isn't too bad. It's not the worst. It's not the best. But I think this season he needs to be hitting double figures. And I think if he's injury-free, the pressure's on him now. You know, there has to be end product, because I think realistically Arsenal will have a front 3 of Martinelli, Jesus and Saka. So I think he will get a lot of game time. So, this upcoming season, he has to show people if he's, if he's there to be seen, or if he's just someone that's a flash in the pan.
I think 18 plus goals and assists this season for Martinelli. I don't think that's a target that's out of reach for a player of his quality. Yeah. So I agree with you there, Kish.
Yeah, in terms of obviously what you guys were saying before, I had to get disconnected again. Firstly, regarding Jesus, right, I actually think he's going to be fantastic for Arsenal, because he hasn't had that ability to be the main focal point. And I think for me, a lot of players strive for that moment. Like he's finally got it. He didn't have the appreciation at Manchester City that he probably felt that he deserved. And now at Arsenal, he is the main man. He's got the opportunity to obviously prove himself firstly, and secondly, he's got the capabilities of bringing players into the game, similar to what Lacazette was praised for. But he's also got the ability to go the other way and actually cause a problem. So for me, I think it's a fantastic signing for us. I've got to be honest. Unlike the Zinchenko one in terms of the price, I do think with the no, I'm not even taking it. I think Zinchenko would be a good player for you lot, but it was more the price I was talking about. But with Jesus, I actually think he offers a lot to your team that you don't currently have, and I think he's going to be a great player. Regarding Martinelli, I don't actually agree with that kid in terms of the pressure coming. I agree with most of what he said in terms of output. He probably needs to improve output, but I still don't think he's under a huge amount of pressure as it currently stands, because although he probably start more this season, I still feel like he'll get a bit of leeway because of his age. Although he's been there for a while, the first 2 seasons don't really count for me because he's barely had an opportunity. I feel like the last season was his breakthrough season in terms of actual opportunities within the first team. I mean, Arteta left him out when Aubameyang got injured. Martinez was the one that stepped up, and Arteta didn't even play him after that, so he didn't really get a chance. So for me, I think he's probably got one more season to bed himself in. Of course, his output, I would agree with that. His output definitely needs to improve, but I wouldn't say pressure per se as much as maybe on Saka. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Saka because a lot of people are starting to, really give him the plaudits that he does deserve. And obviously, Man City are looking at him, Liverpool potentially looking at him as well. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Saka short. It'll be interesting to see how he fares with that. But listen, let's talk about Liverpool and Manchester City. You see on social media a lot of Liverpool fans talk about net spend. But Man City, we've got the best net spend in the league currently. Steve, I've got to ask you, man, how are you feeling about losing your net spend trophy firstly, and secondly, how are you feeling about Darwin Núñez replacing Mane? How is he faring as it currently stands in the Liverpool shirt?
Well, I'm obviously devastated about the net spend trophy, mate. I don't know how I'll recover in time for the start of the season, but we're working on that. So hold your horses, mate. We'll get there. Darwin Núñez, 75 minutes in a Liverpool shirt, and Twitter's decided he's a flop. That could only happen on Twitter, couldn't it? You know what I mean?
Real DM me about that. Probably said this guy's worse than Lukaku. That's what you were saying.
I never said that.
Hey, you right? Yeah. So I told you not to do that.
I never said anything about him and Lukaku. I think.
No, I think with
I've criticised
Núñez,
him by like.
There's a bit that he needs to learn about Liverpool playing. Liverpool leads in there now. He plays. You don't do that in 75 minutes. The facts, the goals, the time in his previous club, what he did when he turned up at Anfield on Champions League night, when he was the best player on the pitch, he stepped up to the occasion. He proved that he's got that big game mentality, because that's probably the biggest game of his career, and he turned up on the night. So I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about him. We saw Fernando Torres' first few games. They weren't brilliant, but look what happened with him. Whilst he was in fit and he was in form, he was unplayable. But obviously, we obviously know he went to Chelsea for silly money when the wheels had fell off. But with regards to Núñez, I'm not concerned. No one's talking about Diaz at the moment because Núñez has come in and he's taken all the media limelight away from Diaz. Diaz is having a pre-season, which will mean a lot to a player of his ability. Comes in straight into the side. Every game was a learning game, so he's got the benefits of a pre-season. But with regards to Núñez, I'm not concerned about the chances. The one against United where he put it over the bar, if you watch that back, and I did, if he drives that along the floor, Eric Bailly blocks it anyway, so he's got to elevate it. He just got too much on it, and he knew he was getting closed down, and it was a sliding challenge. So I'm not concerned, and it makes me laugh. Hopefully the apologies will be as loud as the criticism when he starts banging the goals in.
Don't worry, I've already got the tweet ready to be deleted, Steve. Don't worry, I'm on it. No apologies here, just 5 minutes from the face social media. But listen, I want to talk about the pressure on Núñez. We kind of mentioned it with Martinelli then. For me personally, what I'm looking to see most with Núñez, obviously, his link-up play, the way you guys are changing already. I feel like Trent came out the other day saying that we're looking for him. You kind of adapting to the way he plays from the stand before. How do you think he's going to fare with the pressure of that shirt and having to perform week in, week out. Because you mentioned Diaz there, Steve, which I thought was a great point. The fact that he's now got the luxury of having that preseason. Of course, there's has got the luxury, but the difference is actually pressure on him because he's replacing Mane here. Rian, what are your thoughts on Nunez in terms of how he's going to deal with it? Every single game he's going to have to perform.
I mean, that's the thing. We don't know yet. At the end of the day, we don't know what he's like. He's only young at the end of the. I mean, he's my age. He's only 22, so it's like, he's still young. But I mean, I'm not taking into account. And I've seen the slander. I've seen the clips. I mean, I haven't watched any of our preseason games. I don't watch preseason. I haven't watched one in like 4 years. I'll be real. But like I've seen the clips of Nunez, like compilations, the myths and all that. I ain't bothered about preseason what he does in that. He's only played like Steve said, he's about 70 odd minutes, whatever it is, 50 or I don't even know. But I think I'm confident he scores goals. I am confident he scores goals. At the end of the day, he scored a lot of Benfica last season. I think his finishing was very good in terms of, I think he had a good conversion rate. I forgot, was it in the 20s? I'm not sure. Late 27%, something like that. I'm not sure. I think Statman Baines, he told me that he outperformed his XG last season by like 10 goals, which is impressive, to be fair. That is an impressive thing. So he will score goals. He's a good finisher. I think he's a Klopp player as well. Klopp does like his, like kind of pace and power attackers, especially. And we all know with Klopp as well, like what attacking player comes into a Klopp system and doesn't score goals? It's very rare that doesn't happen at the end of the day. You've seen Mane, Salah, Jota, I'm sure Nunez will be fine in terms of scoring goals. I mean, I have got doubts about his the other aspects of his game, his link-up play, etc., passing, all that. So let's see how he does with that. But in terms, he'll score goals for sure. Not sure how well he'll replace Mane, but yeah, I think he'll be fine. I think it might take him time to obviously settle into the system. You might see maybe a bit of a slow start from him at the beginning of the season, but I think he'll get it together. And yeah, I think he'll do all right. To be honest, like I said, it's rare that attackers fail under Jurgen Klopp. It is rare that happens.
And obviously as well, what are you guys thoughts on the midfield situation? Because every time I see a Liverpool fan tweeting at the moment, a lot of it is to do with the midfield. Obviously, from what I'm aware of, you're very threadbare. Plus, Kaya is there, but he's injured. Oxford Chamber, etc. These players aren't really of the standard. What's the situation with the midfield? Is that a worry for you guys going into the new season? Is that something you still feel like you need to address? Like, what's going on over there?
We would like one, but we're only going to get the one we want. We wanted Tchouaméni. We put our cards on the table, and he only ever wanted Real Madrid, so that was never going to happen. But the way it is, it was one this summer and one next summer. So it might be two next summer if we don't move for anyone this season. There's growing rumours that we're going to do a pre-contractual agreement for next season with Bellingham anyway. So the World Cup doesn't factor into his pricing. We're working on that now, trying to get a pre-agreement done on him because he's come out and said he wants to move, and Liverpool want him. So it all ties in quite well, and the money's there. It's not a money issue. It's a timing issue. And if you look at Dortmund, they sold Haaland for pennies for a player of that ability, really. And
it was in his contract, though, wasn't it? That's why they sold him.
Yeah, but it's not a good deal. It's not a good deal for Dortmund. And then they've spent 25 million more than they got for him, and they're not a cash-rich club. They rely on selling players to do this. So I would imagine at some point very soon we'll push that, because the last thing we can do is allow him to have a good World Cup and it turn into an auction at the end of the season where Real Madrid could come to the table. Could you imagine Real Madrid with Bellingham, Tchouaméni, and Camavinga? That midfield would be stupidly good, wouldn't it?
I don't think they get Bellingham either.
I don't think they get him.
So that's the plan, I think. Matheus Nunes has been mentioned in the last couple of days, but that would only be if one went out. And Oxlade-Chamberlain has channeled his inner Divock Origi by pulling up with injury just before the transfer window.
Oh, did he?
And he'll get fit and he'll be okay for the start of the season. So, we need one out before we bring anyone in. But that's kind of what the way it is on the street. That's what they're pushing for, the pre-contractual agreement with Bellingham.
I mean, the midfield.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't believe Ox is still there. Hopefully, my audio is a bit better. I don't know if it's connected or not.
Yeah,
it's
so
good,
yeah, Keith, let's just get your thoughts while I'm sorting my mic out. What are your thoughts regarding the Liverpool situation at the moment? Like a midfield, etc.
I think unless they sign a midfielder this season, the league is gone. I will literally go as far as that with Liverpool. I mean, realistically, if you look at Liverpool's midfield, they've got Fabinho, who, don't get me wrong, is a fantastic midfielder that also can play in defence. They've got Thiago, who is, for me, is world class, but someone that's very injury prone and probably will get injured next season. He has done for the last 4 or 5 years. Henderson, who is now in his twilight, he's in his 30s, and he does a job, but he doesn't do anything ridiculous. I mean, he keeps the ball, keeps it nice and tidy, but there's nothing spectacular. Then you got Carvalho, who's an unknown. Elliott, who again is learning his trade. Curtis Jones, who's getting a bucket load of hate on social media because he's not really progressed in the last 3-4 years. And then you've got the Ox, who, let's be honest, he's just there as a bit part player. So realistically, you take Fabinho and an injury-prone Thiago out of that side in that midfield, it's a very box-standard midfield. Now, I understand a team having their number one target in Bellingham and willing to wait, until next season. But in all seriousness, I don't think Liverpool have that luxury because he will have the very best teams in the world that will be after him. You're talking the likes of Bayern Munich will be there, Real Madrid will be there, PSG will be there, Barcelona will be there. There'll be a lot of teams that will be ahead of the queue compared to Liverpool, in my personal opinion. And I think when you've got the likes of Milinkovic-Savic, for example, who I think is a fantastic player in Italy, who's been touted for quite a few seasons to come to the Premier League, that's for whatever reason has not come through. There are options there. I don't just think you should be reliant on that one player because I genuinely do feel if you do not sign a midfielder of his ilk,
I agree.
his quality, the league is gone. That's literally how far I see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the midfield, like you said, it is an issue in terms of the options. We got a lot of options, just not quality enough. Do you get what I mean? It's like Thiago's world class, of course. He's maybe even my favorite player at the club. But like you said, he will get injured at points next season. It always happens. You can't rely on him fitness wise. Fabinho, obviously, you've got there. That's fair enough. As the DM, that's fair enough. Henderson, I think he's only useful as a backup DM now. If I'm being honest, as a backup to Fabinho. He doesn't contribute anything as an 8 anymore. Like he's useless in that position. Keita, he's got ability, but he's unreliable fitness-wise and inconsistent when he plays anyway. You just don't know what you're going to get with him. Harvey Elliott, I really like. I think he's got a very big future with us, but I just feel throwing Harvey Elliott in the midfield as a regular starter week in, week out next season and expecting to challenge with Man City, I think is asking a bit too much for me. Hopefully I get proven wrong, but for me, I think it is. Who else is there? Milner, we've kept for dressing room vibes. Who else is there? Ox is shite. And Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones has got ability, but I don't know. I just don't think he's good enough. I know they're putting
I think you need
a lot
to bin
of
Curtis Jones, to be honest. I just think that there has been zero progression in the last 3 to 4
there
seasons.
there is genuine ability there, but I just don't think it's.
I don't think he's been that
Liverpool
bad.
standard for me. That's just my opinion. I think he could
I
do a
think
job
it
at like
suits
a
me
Villa.
like an Aston Villa. I actually think
Yeah,
I can imagine
injured,
Gerrard
though.
going in for him.
I think he'd do okay at like a Villa or somewhere like that.
He's usually injured, isn't he?
Yeah, he got injured. He broke. What is he? Did he break his leg?
Yeah,
That was Harvey Elliott.
That was
Harvey
Harvey
Elliott.
Elliott.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Harvey Elliott. Yeah.
Can I ask Steve and Rayan a question quickly? Apart from Salah, because Salah, you know what he's gonna do. Which forward has the most pressure after Salah on them?
Oh, Darwin Núñez.
No, but yeah, because
no
because
one.
the thing is, the reason you're saying no one, but the reason I'm asking that question is just because I don't, in my mind anyway, I don't think Darwin Núñez is the replacement for Mane. I think Luis Diaz was supposed to be
Correct.
that player on the left.
Originally,
So
but then
obviously
Mane
Liverpool fans won't put pressure on these guys per se. Don't get me wrong, but other than Salah, maybe not pressure, more expectation. Who do you expect more from? You still got Firmino there. You still got Diaz. Obviously, you brought in Darwin Núñez. So who is after Salah? Who is expected to help?
So it will be Núñez because the world will decide that it's Núñez rather than what goes on in the four walls of the football club, and because he's a little bit different to what we've had before in terms of he's more of an orthodox number 9, and it brings something different to the football club. So he goes under the microscope a little bit more for that reason. Diaz has already settled in, has already got the plaudits last season. The transition into the side was superb. It was pretty much seamless. So he's kind of like, that pressure of being the new boy is gone from him. He can now enjoy his football and enjoy the pre-season. The only pressure that will come on Núñez will be what the rival fans choose to put on it, because the one thing that we do as a football club, and I'm sure other clubs do it as well, but I speak on behalf of Liverpool, is that they just put their arms around him and stop him feeling that pressure. Klopp is really good at taking all of that out of the situation and making that guy relax a little bit. You can already see he's a bit frustrated with himself when he's not scoring goals. So the difficulty at the moment is in both the pre-season friendlies, he's had Spanish people translating for him in mid-game. So you imagine trying to play when you've got Thiago shouting from 30 yards away in Portuguese, trying to help him, or Spanish, trying to help him understand what's going on. Every single day that we get that guy into training and he works with the team is a massive benefit.
I don't agree with that, Steve. I'm not gonna lie.
Why not?
I understand what you're trying to say.
Football is the universal language. FM quotes. There we go.
I don't think the language affects his ability to pass the ball to his teammates. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's just general. His general play so far has been poor, but he's a young lad.
I mean, we're all talking about Núñez in terms of having like the expectation and pressure on him next season. I love Luis Diaz in it. I think he was a real breath of fresh air last season when he came. But I do think he really needs to step up in terms of his finishing, because I have to admit his finishing really, really needs work on it. I'll be real. Like his shooting isn't too great. I think, there were like the Chelsea. I think
he scored 6 goals in 21 games for you guys last season for all the plaudits that he got.
The thing is, he missed. I think the FA Cup final was the biggest example for me. He should have scored in that game. I think he had about 7 shots. He should have scored at least once in that game, and we only won it on penalties. If we end up losing that, you could argue he would have been the one maybe to blame, you could say. So, but he was a real breath of fresh air. I think, like Steve said, settled in really well, especially considering he had no preseason. I think it was said as well that he didn't really receive any like individual coaching. So he needs this preseason. This preseason will do him very good in terms of settling into the system, getting even more familiar with his teammates around him. So you'll see him go up another level next season for sure. He just needs to step up his finishing, man, because I do feel he does miss quite a few chances. I'll be honest.
Is he a finisher though? I don't. Whenever I see Lewis, I don't think of him as a finisher. Obviously, he's there to replace Mane, and that's the
well, before they signed him for Porto, he got 14 goals in 18 games. So he was obviously hitting. He was obviously hitting the goals. He was hitting the numbers. But it's just. I can see here that he scored 6 goals in 26 games for Liverpool. So there was a massive drop off from his, from September to January, and then from which is, of course, is probably going to happen anyways.
Listen, Kish, you're gonna make me defend the Liverpool player. I can't believe it, but those stats mean absolutely nothing, because in terms of the context of the game, his performances were fantastic.
His performances were very, very good.
Yeah, and he
but what I'm saying is now, that changes.
No,
but that changes though, because
that changes. One second. The point I'm trying to make is those stats what you're reading now literally do not paint any part of the picture. The guy was very integral to Liverpool's resurgence towards the back end of the season, and that's coming from a Man United fan, so you know it's genuine. Like for me, he was a game changer in many of those games. Whether he contributed statistically, he was influential in a lot of those games, even if it was 20-minute cameos. I remember.
I mean, the example I think was the Everton home game.
There was one game he got a sub on, and then he literally flipped the game on his head.
He came on and he changed the game.
He scored a match winner as well against one of the teams where he took a knock by the goalkeeper. So you got to apply context, but I don't think it's as bad that he scored XYZ goals.
Villarreal as well.
Look, obviously he has to improve his finishing. That goes without saying. Obviously he's replacing Mane, as Coach rightly said. That's big boots to fill. Mane for me is being your best player. Obviously that's not a popular opinion, but I think he's just so clutch. So he's got big boots to fill. Obviously time will tell, but yeah, for me, I just think it's a bit harsh to look at his numbers, because I think he's just offered more than just his stats, so to speak. But listen, I do think defensively,
this is the strongest I've ever seen us in terms of not the defensive depth we've got now. Van Dijk, Matip, Konate, Gomez, very good centre back options. Then you got Trent and obviously the backup right back, Calvin Ramsey. Then you got 2 top left backs in Robertson and Tsimikas as well. You got 2 quality keepers in Alisson, Kelleher as well. Our defensive depth you know, I don't really see how you can really improve on that. To be honest, that's just looking very, very strong at the moment.
Yeah, I think the midfield, obviously, which is obviously what we just got. But
That's
listen,
the
I want to just quickly move on from Liverpool because obviously I know Coach has got to go shortly, so I do want to get his thoughts on Manchester United. Obviously, Man United have finally signed a bloody player. It's been a while. We signed 2 actually since the last time we did a show, so we'll keep it very brief regarding Man United because I have got a video tomorrow where we go in more detail. But that aside, just want to get everyone's thoughts on Martinez and Eriksen signing. We'll come to Ronaldo very shortly. But Kish, we'll start. In fact, no, Kodja, actually, we'll start with you because you need to go. So, Kodja, just what are your thoughts regarding both the players coming in? One looks like he's going to play centre back, and obviously we know where Eriksen is with what he's done at Inter, obviously Premier League as well. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the 2 signings?
I'll start Eriksen. Eriksen, I think, is a good addition. On a free transfer, that's a bargain. So, I mean, it's a free, so you're not literally paying no transfer fee. So, the good thing with him is he is Prem proven. He has got a lot of quality. Thank you. He has got a lot of quality. His set pieces are so good. His deliveries are so good. He's a creator. He knows how to score goals. So he's another option. Whether he's going to be a starter or not, obviously we don't know. I think his best position is number 10. He has to contend with Bruno over there. I think Bruno is still the undisputed number 10 for Man United. But regardless, it's a good addition to the team. And Martinez, the reason why I'm happy about it is because he is an aggressive player, whether that plays as a DM or a centre back. His positional sense is good. Obviously, people are worried about the height because, you know, winning challenges in the air and all that. But he's a good player, man. He's a good player. We need good players. We need players that kind of will fit into the style of football that Ten Hag wants to bring into Man United, the style of play he wants to bring in. And that's what he's doing. He's trying to bring players in bit by bit, players that I think he knows will work, not only with the system, but also would adapt to the speed and the aggressiveness of the Premier League in comparison to Eredivisie. So 2 good signings, 2 very good signings. Very happy about that. Yeah, and obviously we've got Malacia as well, left back as well. So yeah, I mean, I can't complain. Can't complain. I just need Man United fans to calm themselves down about Ronaldo leaving and actually think up with their heads and think that if Erik ten Hag can get Sebastian Haller to score 30+ goals and be one of the top scorers in the Champions League, let him enjoy a season with Ronaldo, please, and try and get some goals out. Well, no, I said try. He will get goals with Ronaldo. So, yeah, good additions to the team, man. Happy.
Yeah, Kale, just obviously we've got a comment here regarding Arsenal as well because, you know, you guys were, Kojo, shout out to you, my brother. I'll catch you in a bit. Yeah, obviously you guys were linked heavily to Martinez as well. You know, what are your thoughts on firstly being rejected by Martinez, and secondly the signing itself? What argument? Because obviously you guys did all the homework for us, so I appreciate it. Firstly,
I mean, you can say that, but all the homework was done by Ten Hag when he was playing with him for the entire season last year and the year before that. So it is what it is. But I'm actually grateful that Martinez is going to Manchester United because it finally gives Saliba the chance to actually play because he doesn't have the option of not playing him. So it gives Saliba a chance to play for Arsenal. So that's a plus in my book. But yeah, he's a player that he's comfortable with, and I think he's going to be much more comfortable in the Premier League under a manager that he knows and he trusts in Ten Hag, and Ten Hag will manage to get the best out of him. I can guarantee that. Eriksen, I feel like he might be a Mata type player for you. I don't see. Obviously, it's a no-brainer getting someone of his quality, but I don't see how he fits in with Bruno Fernandes. And Bruno Fernandes is the guy you need to put all your eggs in on because there is a good player in him. There is a good goal scorer. He's in terms of numbers, he's fantastic. He's phenomenal. It's just the other part of the game, which unfortunately he's a midfielder, so he needs that other part of the game to make him look good. And on the Ronaldo situation, look, Ronaldo's going nowhere. Nobody is taking a risk on a injury-prone 37-year-old. It's not happening. It's not happening. So get used to seeing Ronaldo in a number 7 shirt for Manchester United. He's going to see goals. I imagine there are a lot of Man United fans that are happy. I don't understand
the way you just said it, like he didn't bag like 4 goals against you.
No, I'm not saying that. I think people wanting Ronaldo gone makes absolutely zero sense. He got all your goals last season. It makes zero sense to get rid of him.
I'll get into why I personally wanted to see the back of it. Obviously, you guys know how much I've been championing Ronaldo. We'll come to that very shortly. I just want to answer this one quickly from Prince. Oh God, we made you pay 64 million. I mean, you didn't make us pay 64 million because it's actually.
Can I ask Cahill a question, by the way?
Yeah, go on.
Just about Arsenal, because I saw like obviously you didn't get Martinez and Europe like Saliba getting more game time and starting for you at centre back, but. What do you? Because I saw rumors about maybe Juve being linked with Gabriel. Like, what would you think of that? If, like, I mean, I don't know if that will happen. I'm not sure.
I don't think it will happen. I don't want it to happen because Gabriel is obviously our best defender. I don't see anything. It's not like he's begging to go. If he wanted to go to Juventus, he would have. There would have been talks. There would have been more rumors.
They do need to replace the lit, though. You got to bear that, man. So.
But if they have to replace the lit, then they're gonna have to come with more money than what is it? What they offer?
Well, they're close to signing Bremer.
I thought it was 25 or something.
They're close to signing Bremer from Torino today. The news just came out.
So there you go, man. I don't read anything into the Gabriel situation, but I want Gabriel and Saliba as a partnership next season, and I want that partnership.
So Ben White gets displaced then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, Saliba, to be fair to him, is good. But listen, regarding the Martinez thing. Look, for me personally, I'm happy that we've got him. Obviously, Ten Hag knows it well, as he said. He was actually their player of the season for Ajax. So, massively influential within the way he tries to play out from the back. So, happy days. I'm not really going to complain about that. But look, Kish, there's no one better suited than you to talk about Eriksen. Tell us about Eriksen, because a lot of people in the comments are saying,
yeah, it's a good addition. Do I think it improves Manchester United? Not really, because I think you're underrating Mata, because I think Mata was a quality player for what he was. It was just the case that, he was his prime years were kind of taken away from it with Manchester United. He wasn't given opportunities for whatever reason. He's very, very harshly treated, Juan Mata, I think.
He played out of position.
Yeah, because at Chelsea he was ridiculous. And people forget that. People have very short memories of that. So I think in terms of quality...
Sure, it was 10 years ago, man.
Yeah, no, he's 31. I think he signed for Man United. Was he the first signing? It was
Moyes, wasn't it?
Moyes,
in January, I think. Mourinho got rid of him. Mourinho never fancied him at
2016? He was a David Moyes signing.
I feel like it was 2015.
Yeah. So
when
I think for the first few seasons, Mata performed at United. It's just obviously over time, loads of players were signed in his position. But anyways, forget that. I think someone posted a question earlier on this chat to say who's had the worst transfers at this moment in time.
Because we saved that for another week. That's don't go into that.
Well, look, don't get me wrong. Look, is he a signing that you take on free? 100%. Is it fantastic for squad depth? 100%. Because the difference between Bruno Fernandes and Eriksen is, although they're similar in terms of creativity, Bruno, I'm sure Osman already knows, and loads of Man United fans know, his ball possession is disgraceful at times. With
it's horrible. Yeah.
The one thing you won't get with Eriksen is that Eriksen at Tottenham was someone that possession base would be 89, 95% of keeping the ball. He'd dictate the passes. He wouldn't go for risky passes. He'd always go for opportunities that are literally dead on certain for him. And I think that is something that United will enjoy. And I think a lot of fans will be like a peace of mind to know that ball possession is kept. He knows the philosophy of Erik ten Hag. He actually trained with Ajax after his, unfortunate situation that he had. So he knows him. But apart from that, with the defensive signing, Lisandro Martinez, I think it's massively overpriced. But of course, Ajax didn't need to sell, so United had to pay the money. Dutch defenders in particular from the Dutch league, it's been very hit and miss. I, as a Tottenham fan, can vouch for that with Davinson Sanchez that we signed for 40 million from there. Highly rated and was known to be one of the best things. So it's going to be difficult. Don't get me wrong. The fact that he knows Erik ten Hag accepts it could help him. These things can happen. Depay, he went when Van Gaal was there to United from the Dutch league. So there are loads of examples. And Malacia or whatever his name is as the fullback, he's a raw project. He's a raw project. He's someone that will take a lot of coaching, a lot of training. I think Erik ten Hag will give that. So it's not someone for right now. I personally think it's someone that will be an understudy, which is not an issue really for squad depth. But I think at the moment there's still a lot of work for Manchester United to do in and out in terms of players in and out for the transfer window. I think personally.
I think with United as well.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, sorry. I think with Eriksen, I think you've also got, set pieces as well with him. That's an option as well, because I think United had the problem. You didn't score a lot of corners last season, did you? It took you ages to score a corner and stuff like that. Eriksen has got quality delivery on him at the end of the day, so that's an option there. And in terms of Malacia, your left back, I mean, I'm guessing he'll be back up to Shaw, innit? Because, like, as much as I don't really rate Shaw, like, Tellers is just, oh my days, he's one of the worst left backs in the league, bro. He's horrendous. He's so bad, bro. The fact Shaw's better than him, like.
That guy actually sold me a dream. I think it's going to be decent. But yeah, just on the Eriksen thing, obviously, Kishi said he's not. What did you say exactly? You said he's not going to improve massively in Man United massively.
No, not from what you had.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair comment, to be honest. But for me, it just comes down to ball retention, which is basically what Erik ten Hag would want. We've currently got McFred in there, so I actually disagree with that comment. I think he will improve it massively because it means one of them two frauds aren't playing. So I think it'll be.
You think he starts?
Pardon?
You think he starts?
Ideally, no, because we would have signed Frankie de Jong, but God knows what's happening with that deal. So look, for me personally, it's definitely an option in double pivot. I'm sure Ten Hag has got a plan for Eriksen. Would you want to play him in double pivot? Probably not. But like I said, if he's him or McTominay, I'd probably still pick him if we're playing against teams that are tending to part the bus. Obviously, you wouldn't play him against the most expansive teams because you probably get ripped apart. Obviously, defensively.
See, this is my question to you, though, Osman. Say if you sign Frankie de Jong, hypothetically, then you've got him, Eriksen, Bruno, who aren't really a centre defence. There's no core in that midfield, so you would have to play McFred. Yeah. So wouldn't you need someone of that, like a Fabinho type of player?
You wouldn't have to, though. Like, you just play Fred and Frankie de Jong, hypothetically.
What about Donny?
But that's a weakness there.
Look, Fred obviously isn't ideal. I mean, we need to get someone there. But Erik ten Hag doesn't really play with the destroyer. He plays with two controlling ball playing midfielders. He doesn't necessarily. I think Ruben Neves actually would be a really good signing for us. That it kind of suits the way Erik ten Hag wants to play football. I think Ruben Neves and Frankie de Jong as a double pivot would probably make more sense than what we've been linked to. So I would personally go for Neves. He's not been my number one. My number one was Basuma, but obviously he's gone. But the way Ten Hag wants to play, I think he wants to play with a double pivot of two ball playing rather than a destroyer, which is a bit different to what I would normally affiliate with that role. But I'm okay with it at the end of the day, and whatever he wants for his system, we've got to just back it. But yeah, I don't want to see Scott McTominay. I don't mind Fred too much, but I don't want to see Scott McTominay ever play.
Fred's all right. It's McTominay's a donkey.
Yeah, Fred's not as bad. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not great. He's like a 6 out of 10 at best, but he's not a 3, is he? Scott McTominay is absolutely shit, man.
He's a championship
post, man. Yeah, he thinks he's good. It pisses me off.
What role do you think Van der Beek plays next season?
I mean, is it the Van der Beek thing? A lot of United fans at the moment are kind of like saying he's not a flop, but basically he's not good enough. A lot of United fans are currently panicking regarding Donny. But if there's anyone that's going to get the best out of him, it's
exactly.
So I'm not really personally worried. And you need a squad, man. Like it's 5 subs next season, 30 minutes off the bench. Van der Beek's got the capabilities, third man running to box, getting us a goal, getting us a win, whatever it may be. And people need to understand football's about the squad, man. It's a squad game. The thing with Man United, every time we have a squad or a potential squad, people always say, where's XYZ going to play? Liverpool have got, 6 attackers, 5 attackers. You keep it all happy because you rotate depending on who you're playing against. And that's what Ten Hag's going to have to work out, hopefully sooner rather than later. But yeah, for me, we're like 3 players short currently to actually be competitive. Obviously, DM would be one of them. Right back, apparently we're linked to a right back, but we'll have to wait and see. But just quickly before we move on from United, just want to ask everyone regarding Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know I think Kojo might have mentioned it. I just want to get everyone's thoughts regarding the situation. Of course, he basically handed a transfer request practically. Pretty much said, I want to get out. I mean, for me personally, I've been very vocal on social media. And my opinion on the matter is I don't blame him because the club has shown absolutely no ambition to try and win trophies. Of course, he's at the twilight of his career, so why would he stay in a scenario where he's not realistically going to win trophies? On the flip side, people are saying, well, he knew what he was expecting when he joined, which I understand that perspective as well. Steve, we'll come to you firstly, just before we go around the room quickly. What are your thoughts on the Ronaldo situation? Is seem increasingly likely that he's going to stay, not because he wants to, but because no one wants him. Where do you sit with the Ronaldo thing?
I think he'll stay. His wages are a problem for most clubs. There's a couple that could absorb his wages, but then he's still 37 years old. Yes, he keeps himself in great shape, but if you statistically look at what he offers, he scores 20 goals, and that's tremendous. And he'll probably do that next season, and you'll need those 20 goals. But in terms of what Ten Hag wants to do, if you look at all of the pressing stats across Europe, the only people who press less than Ronaldo are central defenders in the list of people who pressed. He pressed the least of any outfield player other than a central defender in all 5 of the top leagues in Europe. So you're not going to get that from him, and you have to accept you're not going to get that from him. He's not a guy who's going to sit on your bench and play infrequently. He's not in his makeup to do that. That's when you'll have a problem with him as a personality. He will expect to play. He'll expect to score. He'll expect to be the sort of central figure. Because his career has always been that. He won't change that now. But I do think he stays at Manchester United. I don't see anybody coming in with, there's talk of him trying to engineer a move to Atletico.
Yeah, that was a bit crazy.
And there's a few fanciful ideas that they might try and do a swap deal with Felix.
I don't believe that. Yeah.
I think a lot of what's coming out regarding Ronaldo is just bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's just people trying to get clicks. Why the hell would he try to go Atletico? Like the Man City, I can understand it a bit more, but there's no way God's given it that go Atletico Madrid. They hate him firstly, and secondly, he's a Real Madrid legend. It just wouldn't make sense for him to tarnish his legacy for the sake of one season. I don't know. I don't know what everyone else thinks. I just don't.
It's not likely, is it? It's not likely.
It's not gonna happen,
certainly not as a swap for Felix, because Felix is an 80 million pound player. Ronaldo's sort of 10 to 15 million pound if you're lucky right now. He'll see out his contract. He's got 1 year left, hasn't he? So I see him seeing out his contract and then probably go. Then's the time to think about going and take a big payday in the MLS.
Yeah, I think football in the last 5 years has adapted. In a sense where every team plays high press. It's no coincidence that the likes of Real Madrid have completely refreshed their midfield, because the likes of Cruz and Modric can no longer do that. So they're reactive players rather than being able to, progressively intercept and be dominant in midfield. Now, that's no fault of Ronaldo's in a sense. Ronaldo has always been like that. I think past his Man United days where he was more of a winger, I think Real Madrid predominantly and Juventus, you've seen what he is. He's a box standard striker who will guarantee you 20 plus goals. He could be in his 40s and he'd still get you 20 plus goals, because that's what Ronaldo does, and he always will. But unfortunately, in terms of having that dominant factor that Eric Ten Hag team plays with possession-based football and being able to press, he's human. He's 37. There's no way he'll be able to do that, and that's no fault of his own. So I think Man United, in a secret way, were probably thinking that if there was a move to, say, Bayern Munich, it would have been perfect, because you can't argue with that move. And he could kind of go with his blessing and say, look, I did my best. I did my job. It's just it didn't work out. But if you keep him, it's then down to Eric Ten Hag to say to the rest of the players in that team, like your Rashfords, like your Sanchos, who, let's be honest, last season, their pressing stats weren't too impressive either, that they will have to do the work and they will have to be the legs for him. So then when he scores his goals, but on the defensive side, then they're not a man short, because unless they do that, it again will be a very similar season to what you've seen this season for Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point, Kish, to be honest. I think for me personally, I've been championing Ronaldo all season, and a lot of people are calling me flip-flop. But the way I see it is, he's going to be 37 in February. He's done his bit. He's got all his sacks. So I will always love him for that. And he's called the Glazers out. He's done as much as he can. He's called Maguire shit. He's done everything he can possibly do as a human being, and I applaud him. And I will always love him. I mean, like I said, the fact that he's gone in and violated half the players is absolutely a breath of fresh air, because a lot of them needed it. However, on the flip side, it's a new era for me personally. We need a fresh start. Look, Pogba's gone. I'm a massive fan of Pogba, but he's gone now, and I'm happy that he's gone. Lingard's gone. A lot of other players have departed, and it's time to move on, to be quite honest with you. Sadly, it seems that that's not going to be the case. But for me personally, what I will say is I really hope Ten Hag's got the balls to actually play him sparingly. It doesn't feel like he has to play him week in, week out. I think at any team, Man United, any of our teams, so to speak. You should always play a player on merit, not because of their name, and I think that's extremely important, especially at Manchester United. That's been one of our biggest issues since Sir Alex Ferguson. You know, these big, high-profile players are getting in the team regardless of their performance. We need to turn that, you know, that page and actually try to work on players playing as cohesively as a team and picking players on merit. And for me personally, Ronaldo, yes, he's gonna have ambitions to play week in, week out, as Steve correctly said. Yes, he might be upset, etc. But it just comes down to Ten Hag. Has he got the cojones to actually say to Ronaldo, look, you're 37, you're going to be 38, bro. You know, obviously we want you. You've got the capabilities of helping us have success, so to speak, with your goals. But you need to understand your body's not willing the way your mind is. So you're going to have to.
Yeah, no, I get that as well. And I just think, you know, it'll be interesting to see how Ten Hag manages a personality like that, because, you know, he will create issues, and he's created issues for all recent all recent managers at clubs that he's been at. You know, even the Juventus manager really struggled. I think it was Pirlo and Sarri really struggled with him. So, you know, it'll just be a matter of how we can manage him, because he will have strops. He will have situations where Ten Hag has to take him off to have a change of direction or change of formation. He will have fits, and it's how Ten Hag can handle that. Because I think, you know, Ten Hag so far in his interviews, it look like he has that big personality, and he's kind of, you know, he showcases, you know, the dressing room that I'm the boss, you know, sort of thing. But it's easier said than done, because when it's one of the greatest players ever to play the game that you're trying to sub off and you're trying to say, look, you know, I need to rest you, it's a completely different storyline. So be interesting.
I mean, Ralph Ragnick tried that last season a couple of times, didn't he? He took Ronaldo off and stuff, and, you know, you weren't too happy. So, like,
no,
I mean, that's
Messi did the same though with Pochettino. You know, these
players.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so many players do it. Mbappe did it as well last season. I mean, a lot of these big profile players. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was right, but a lot of these big profile players, you know, they have that arrogance about them, and that's what makes them who they are. But Kale, let's just get your thoughts on the Man United situation, and we'll wrap it there. Kale, what are your thoughts currently? Obviously, Man United and Arsenal realistically are probably going to be competing for a similar spot next season. As it stands, Man United signed 3 players. I believe you signed 3 as well. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Who's looking the better so far? What do you reckon?
I'd say Arsenal. I think we're what, year 3 into a current project where Ten Hag is starting pretty much from scratch, losing his best players and one of his best strikers as well. So I think Arsenal in a better shape. Ronaldo situation, like I said before, he ain't going anywhere. So I don't understand Man United fans complaining that a guy who scored you 20 plus goals last season is going to remain there. But my question to you, Usman, is, what's your thoughts on the Tony Martial situation? Because I think he's going to get a lot more minutes than I think a lot of people are, or maybe want him to have.
Yeah, no, I think for me, like I've said consistently, actually, I think Martial suits Ten Hag's system to an absolute T. Like, generally, I've said this, as soon as we announced Ten Hag, I wanted Ten Hag for a long time. I think Martial is the perfect play for him. Honestly, I genuinely believe that. I think Sancho will play as well. Hopefully, Rashford can do that. But in terms of Martial itself, I think he's the perfect man to lead the line. You know, pre-season so far, he's got off to a good start. You know, a lot of these players have got fresh slate, you know, new manager, attacking philosophy. And I think Martial will benefit. I think we'll see a similar season from Martial if he's given the opportunities to what we saw in, I think it was 1920 when him and Rashford really fired. I think they can both really benefit from the system, where the intention is to try and get in behind and cause problems. So, yeah, for me, I think Martial should be the starting number 9. Of course, as we've all said, that is not going to be the case with Ronaldo. So, I suppose alternative would be playing Martial on the left wing, potentially as a floater. That would be my personal preference. Obviously, give Martial the license to float and roam as much as he wants, because again, he has the capabilities of causing problems from the left wing. I don't want to say similar to Tadic, but in a sense, what Tadic was doing, obviously having the license to do whatever he wants. It's not exactly the same profile player, but I think we've got options. Obviously, Ronaldo stays. You know, it is where it is. He's got 20 goals in him. We have got options, and we need options desperately, because you know, one thing I will say is we didn't have enough goals in the final third. Man, we was way too reliant on Ronaldo, and that needs to change. So I'm hoping Martial finds his feet again, because it was absolutely shambolic for most of them last season. But listen, we're gonna wrap it there because I keep disconnected and everyone's ridiculously hot, obviously. As in the weather, of course, they're hot as well otherwise. But you know, whatever floats your boat, innit? But listen, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's tuned in. As always, make sure you do slap a like and subscribe to the channel. I do apologize for all my technical difficulties. I will try and sort that for tomorrow. We have got a show tomorrow regarding Martinez. I have got a player profile video with the Ajax fans. Obviously, that'll be fantastic. So if you've got any questions, feel free to let me know on Twitter. That side, Kish, let the people know where they can find you, my guy.
Yeah, Instagram, all social media streams at Keishindu. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, all the good stuff at Us Man Talks United for weekly content as well.
Yes, Kish, you can sound a bit more enthusiastic. You sound like I got a gun to your head. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's because we didn't mention Spurs. Do you know what I mean? I'm excited.
I know. We haven't got all night, and Spurs are a bit relevant, to be honest. But anyways, Kale. Speaking of, I was about to say speaking of relevant. Obviously, that led you on nicely in terms of slagging off Spurs. Where can the people find you, my guy? Let them know.
Free in Midfield on YouTube, Twitter, all the social media spots. That's where you'll find us, Free in Midfield, and of course on Usman Talks United, the rival fan show, which will be going throughout the entire season. So, yep, let's like and subscribe, please.
Yes, you love to see it. Rian, let the people know where they can find you, my bro.
Yeah, you can just find me on Sarksome City mainly, arguing with Flawless, pretty much every show in some way. Other than that, find me on Shameless SEO and Carefree Lewis's channel stream that we normally do like once a week, maybe on a Tuesday or a Sunday. I don't know, it always changes. But yeah, that's where you can find me mainly.
You love to see it. Last but not least, Steve, let the people know where they can find you. I feel like you changed your background, but I don't know if I'm tripping or not. Let the people know where they can find you, bro.
You're on mute.
I did move, yeah. So background hasn't changed, mate. You're not tripping. It did change. So you can get me on my socials. You can also find me on Red Men TV, pretty much once a week when the season starts. And last couple of weeks, I've been doing Bedfellas on GrizzCon TV on a Sunday night. So yeah, try and keep busy. Pre-season's hard. It's not fun. Let's get the football going again. Where we all come into our own, don't we? So again, thanks for having me on. Anyone watching this, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Good stuff coming out this channel from the top bloke. So thanks for having me on, mate.
Absolute pleasure. As always, like the guys said, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Obviously, follow them on their social and make sure you stay up to date with everything going on regarding the lads. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock, Martinez player profile video with the Ajax fans. Being your bias man. Thank you as always.